We will bring you this edition of the program Good Morning Salon. Musa Kamara, na the name.
And Mina Mabel Kaba, good morning. Sitting at the program, this Tuesday edition of Good Morning Salon, go look inside the role where some state institution them for playing out for maintain the country peace. Well, at the studio this morning, first guest where we don't get someone for welcome at the studio, Victor Lansana, we are the Vice Chairperson for the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone. Good morning and welcome to the program Good Morning Salon.
Good morning, Mabel. Good morning, listeners.
Well, a day this morning, we can't talk about the railway institution for play. We expect other guests from other institutions where we go discuss what's in for do now for ensure say the country peace. We all as citizens in our salon able for contribute to maintain the peace. The Human Rights Commission, they set up inside 2004 by an act of parliament where their mandates are for promote peace and protect human rights in salon through investigation, public education, and other things they supposed for the do. And at the end of the day, they present reports of waiting and final to the president and self. So international body them way salon they part of way campaign protecting human rights na salon. Well, from where this incidents happened on the 10th of August, we see the commission on the 12th being pulled a position as a own statement as to waiting may happen. And inside that statement, they make recommendation them to different state institutions and back way for the country and security. We go get for can look at the recommendation them where the commission gets as their own thing they within the profile for big solution to the country in peace. Well, before we can look at the thing they wanna put inside on a statement, let me just start first for look at broadly the incidents will happen on the 10th of August. Also, we see violence at different parts. Now the country, we don't see different institutions, them they comment on waiting and things that lead to this. But from the Human Rights Commission, owned by an act of parliament, get the mandates for protect and self-promote people and human rights in the country. What's on a makeup of the whole incident?
Well, for us, at the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, we believe we view the entire incident very, very unfortunate. We don't go too far, in development or evolution of the state. For there we get such kind of vassal. What we see for us as the commission on the 10th of August, it just remind we of January 6th. We all know what January 6th we actually do to win this country. And so for us, the entire incident was really, really unfortunate, and we don't want to make such incidents occur again in this country. It's very clear the Constitution makes provision for what we call the right to freedom of assembly and association. It's very clear. Section 26(1), it talks nobody not for be hindered or nobody not for deny the rights to people. We want for assemble peacefully and deliberate on the interest. So that is a constitutional provision. It's very, very clear. The state institutions, for instance, the police, get for allow people, for make them able for assemble peacefully and vent out the grievances or advocate for the interest. That is what the Constitution provides, Section 26, subsection 1. That is very, very clear. So it is a fundamental provision in the Constitution which actually goes to the right, the fundamental rights of everybody in this country. But however, within the same Constitution, that same section, Section 26, if you further look at subsection 2, it also talks there are exceptions, to peaceful assembly. There are exceptions to associations, gatherings generally. So you see, Usai, that assembly or that peaceful or that gathering will lead to or get tendency for lead to public safety, will affect public safety, public morality, or the defense, of the state, or even where it will hinder the enjoyment of the rights of other people. Such instances in Usai, the rights to freedom of assembly and association will be restricted or limited. So the Constitution is very, very clear. Yes, fundamentally, people can get rights, for make them assemble peacefully, for able for talk about the interest, the grievances and so on and so forth. But at the same time, where it is very clear that such gathering, will lead to the threat of the state, security of the state, or you will hinder the enjoyment of the rights of other people. Them, the law says they will restrict, they will restrict such gathering. So it's very clear. We, for a very long time, the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, even in the annual reports, them, we don't call on the states, we don't call on police, for instance, for ensure say they create the enabling environment for people for able for actually come out and express them, views them over issues them, over the interest them. So that has been the issue. That has been the position of the commission. But at the same time, we have also been reminding citizens them say that gets a process and procedure. So like I don't say already, subsection 2 of section 26 is very clear. There are instances where such a right can be limited, and the procedures and processes they set them out. Now the 1965 Public Order Act, if you look at section 17, it's very clear how if you go about for actually assemble, as a group of people, or if you want for actually, take part in any assembly. And as a matter of fact, from the outset, and for states, we don't review the laws them. We don't review national laws them. We don't review international laws them, sub-regional laws them. There is nowhere outside the law, they protect riot or protest. So what's in the law, now assemblies, okay, peaceful assembly, association, that is what is in the law. So what we see on the 10th of August, not to form part of any laws, whether national, international, or sub-regional. Now be protest, now be riot, and it is condemnable. We don't condemn, outrightly, because it don't only lead to loss of lives and damage to property.
Now, you say the part of the law is not like a peaceful assembly. You left out that you talk to. If you talk to the people that were there on the street, they will tell you say a peaceful protest will be there on. If you talk to government officials, they will tell you say na attempted coup, na insurrections, and get the terms them way they call them. From the human rights perspective of Salone, I want to describe Augustine incident of situation.
Yes, I don't really say that. In the first place, this is not anything that is subjective. Okay, it's not anything that has to be with subjectivity. Clearly, what you saw, what everybody saw on August 10, the protest, we really was very violent. We see the loss of lives, in the most brutal forms. So for us, it is very, very unfortunate, and we don't want to see such a thing again in this country. People therefore ensure say they follow the procedures, they follow the processes. Sierra Leone is a democratic state, and so when we have a democratic state, we get laws that we govern with. So it's very important that citizens then always abide by the laws. And as a matter of fact, section 13 of the Constitution, it don't provide for the duties of every citizen. If you look at that section there, it's very clear that, for instance, Sierra Leoneans, them citizens generally, able to render assistance to law enforcement officers them in the maintenance of peace and security in any community where they belong. And at the same time, on the other hand, we also always call on, for instance, the Sierra Leone police, for me to always ensure say, they're able to create an environment where people will feel confident and apply and get a notification if they want to actually process, peacefully. That should be a culture we, for embrace, so that we don't get this kind of thing we pent up anger, over time it build up until there is an outburst. So that is kind of situation where we don't have to at all, because if you continue like this, I should say, go well at all for this country.
So like you don't state and clearly say wetin happened on the 10th of August last week, Wednesday, not a part of any law or the constitution where they govern the states. And you make mention of section 26 of the Salone Constitution where they talk about peaceful assembly and association. The Human Rights Commission, una don they work on issues we get for do with people rights them for ensure say una promote and protect their rights here. And this particular section, the one where they talk about the rights where people get. You can get rights for belong, who say one for belong. You can get rights for do peaceful assembly and association. But this particular section of the Constitution, how the country are able to uphold them over the years?
Okay, so it's a very good question you don't ask me, Bell. That is where we come in. Over the years, the country or state institutions them don't actually handle well this particular fundamental human rights way the Constitution make provision for. We have said take the human right based approach. going forward, like you say, you can discuss within the whole of state institutions and going forward. This is one of the issues that we actually call on. We don't call on the police for for the longest time, for the optimum time. We want to make the ensure say they adopt what we call the human right based approach. And which is this human right based approach? Now we have got section 26, 1 and 2 of the Constitution. Subsection 1 they clearly state, when a substantive provision, they clearly state the right to freedom of assembly and association. And then subsection 2, they tell you the limitations them. The law authorities, the authorities them will limit or will restrict the enjoyment of that particular right there. So the human right-based approach, now for level ensure say, the police for instance, for ensure say, when people actually identify themselves, they say we want for organize a demonstration, we want to organize a peaceful protest. So they notify the police by section 17 of the Public Order Act of 1965. And mark you, it's the 1965 Public Order Act. It tells you it came way before we get the 1991 Constitution. So whenever they drafted the 1991 Constitution, they had in mind provisions in the 1965 Public Order Act, as we don't see. So clearly, the procedures them, now for make citizens them, or anybody will get interest for actually, undertake a peaceful demonstration, for notify. That is the word that is used in the act.
Did the commission get any record for show Usai Salon police don't ever agree where people in right say they want for do peaceful protest?
Yeah, we'll come to that. That just completes on the human rights approach, because it's really important for make people understand, the police and also citizens understand. So what we need to do as Sierra Leoneans that we want for actually engage in peaceful protest, first of all, the law say you go for notify the Inspector General of Police. Once you notify them, the Inspector General of Police now gets the obligation for either deny you or allow you. Now, allowing you, it means say you will need to put in place some conditions then, terms and conditions of that peaceful protest. For instance, now you don't say you want to engage in this. When are the people there, we need to identify them. Then we agree on the routes we have for use, the timing and everything. And because it also means that not so everybody get for engage in that protest, or not so everybody get for engage in that peaceful assembly. There are other people, other sects of Sierra Leoneans them, where just want to go home, just want to go on streets, then go use them and bike, then go walk, then go use them motorcar, transport, everything, for make them get the levy bread and daily living. So it's as simple as that. So whereas other people get interest in the protest, others and they will not get interest in the protest at all. So people have to go to school and everything. So that means there are others than where the writing will be affected. That is why you have to identify yourself, sit down and agree with the police. So when they say the police for ensure say that first limb of this section 17.2, where they say the police can deny you, that should not be the first thing the police will do always, because that is what we have been seeing over the years. The police will always deny. That's the first thing. So when they say human rights-based approach, allow the people for actually engage in a peaceful protest, where they notify you, sit down and agree on the route and the issues them, agree on the terms and conditions them, and then provide security for them. Provide security so that other people in the rights not will be affected, by that peaceful demonstration or assembly. So it's very important. That is the human rights-based approach, where we call on the police for always adopt. Otherwise, if we continue like this for deny people them, or in some instances, like you say, if there are instances, we don't see, for instance, who say police the IG don't grant order permission for one set of people them for many go protest, for many go demonstrate, and others them on the same issue, it deny them. So we want to see a consistency. We want to see fairness. Okay. In ensuring that the people enjoy the rights we enshrined in subsection 1 of the subsection 1 of section 26 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone. It's very clear. We want to see consistency. We want to see the police adopt the human rights-based approach, and we want to see fairness in ensuring that people enjoy the fundamental human rights we enshrined in section 26.1 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone.
Continue for the with me at the studio, Victor Lansana, Vice Chairperson for the Human Rights Commission at Salon.
The program is still listening to now. Good morning, Salon, where they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. We will bring you this edition of the program. Good morning, Salon. Musa Kamarana Minim.
And Mabel Kaba.
As we mentioned inside our headline, one power headline today, we go continue for talk to institutions them we get for do with peace. Well, for Sika that, I want to welcome Philip Bona, the Director for Conflict Prevention, now the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. Good morning and welcome to the program. Good morning, Salon. Yes, Salon people remember say government's been set up organized the Bintu Mani 3, and the end of that Bintu Mani 3 conference, recommendation being come for set up an institutions we go there for give strength to peace and democracy in a Salon, and also give peace and give strength to national cohesion. We say them form the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion, and this body don't begin work for do their mandate we now for give peace strength to peace and also national cohesion na saloon. Well, for sake of that, we get Philip Bona inside the program for Can Talk on the institution position for sake of Augustine and how they don't they work for give strength to peace and national cohesion. Once more, good morning and welcome. Yes, we look at the Augustine issue where they at hand now, and in relation to the work with the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion they do, and you they come up from the conflict prevention angle. Now we look at the organization in position on the Augustine situation before we can look at other issues them where the institution they do for prevent peace and also give strength to national cohesion.
Thanks for the invitation. And I want to start by saying that we condolence, we condolences them go to them, people that were being died during the Augustine event, the policeman then, the civilians them. We had to with them, and at this point in time, with their families them bereaved, let God console them, and then when they will die, let God give them good road. That incident the way happened on the 10th. The Peace Commission being released been get for send out a press release, and in that press release day we been get for appeal to everybody, all sides them for exercise some restraint, and we also condemn the act. For let you see how speaking them in the beat club, policeman them until they kill them, na some kind scenario that way, na a disgrace to this country, and it don't go worldwide, it go viral. For let you also see also a young lady, then they march with them, picking them, na na the streets then with placard na their hand, it's like me they see them as you don't abuse the right of a child, not to pick in place that one for go na them kind sensitive areas for demonstrate. No matter what, if I are underage. So all NTR we pull this press release for really also say we condemn this act here where the youth man may get involved and kill.
So in as much as Ona condemn the act, you are the director for conflict prevention.
Yeah.
And the incidents will happen on Wednesday. Plenty of people don't describe how it's like, and you said don't state waiting the commission thing, but waiting happen so on Wednesday. But from the background of conflicts and peace and conflict prevention that the directorate really head na this commission.
Yeah.
What do you think say as a nation we miss? We make we result to that particular incident that will happen that day. If we been one for prevent, I'm waiting as a nation for them to.
As we as a nation, I want to draw your attention to one thing. Sierra Leone actually, on the average, now a very peaceful nation. If you look at the index, you could find out saying the fourth most peaceful country in Africa, the most peaceful in the Mano River Union, and the second most peaceful in West Africa. And also, if you look at our society, you really see we are really homogeneous, so not really get that kind crass differences, intermarriages then they are between we, religious tolerance day in this country. So basically, me they say we not really get that kind crass situation like some other African countries. But that said, I will also add that when elections come, the narrative will change. Since I grew up in this country, it has always been the same. As long as election they come closer, we begin to read a sharp rhetoric them, where people they attack each other from across the party lines, and waiting on more specific about this fire now. We don't begin to see the tribal, hatred speeches. We don't begin to come. If you look at the war itself, where we take place in the 90s now, will not be released, not been based on tribal sentiments. It's been really based on, the fight for resources. So that said, I forecast now to the commission. Actually, I not really see say we we be miss anything.
So this been obvious it will happen.
Well,
that's not been there for prevent them.
Well, at this point in time, it is very difficult to say if there's we been there see say it's been there na the social media how people they try for send them various messages to them groups them. We definitely are not saying that be one thing that we spark. We saw it coming, we saw it written on the wall, but now the dimension at which this thing happened, we all at surprise. You, me, everybody take we at surprise. We normally take things say it go degenerate to that point. But I mean, being a society, we say people then also they express their own views, and then get the right for express their own views. We be underrate some of them sharp rhetorics that will be they come from various angles them, where the youths them probably don't believe in, and then take to the streets, we culminate into this kind of danger.
So in that kind of situation, yeah, the reason why they ask, because we want for do the program, let people know waiting need for be done by certain institutions, for we prevent some of them here from happening in future. And you they come out in a directorate, we in a conflict prevention.
Yes.
Make they ask if in future for letting kind here not happen, waiting supposed for be done.
Well, from me on directorate, we they work on the following, of course, waiting to happen for let not happen again. We also they advise government that we don't definitely identify so many root causes of the problems of the youth, because of the youth man them. We get a lot of them, we don't left the rural setting, they don't kind of free town. They really not get no perspective now. Government gets smart programs, they get a lot of programs them. But unfortunately, the number of youth in this country is just large. So much so that we're able to absorb all of them. But we really encourage government for let them find opportunities for their youth, especially like in the agricultural sector and some other areas. Another thing again we also recommend, as we go forward, is that we also begin to look at awareness programs in the form of peace education for their youth man them.
Now, when we look at the incident we happened August 10, and you mentioned say una see and they come, you saw it coming, and you position na conflict prevention na an institution we then call Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. Where una don't see the sign as an institution, what una do for prevent them?
Well, actually, what we do was that we began to engage certain institutions them, na the back scene, behind the scenes. We normally also engage them and discuss with them about the fact say elections they around the corner, and during this electioneering process that they most times will see violence, and how we would try for as a nation and as institutions, try for prevent some of them here before then they happen. We be non-sign memorandum of understanding with PPRC. We're responsible for the political party, then, so that the Peace Commission will be part of that process when it comes to educating the voters them, educating the youth about what really forbidden duties and responsibilities during elections. Also, we also get the opportunity for getting, collaborate with the security sector, wherein also we be able for bringing we own, observations there with regard to, especially most of the hate speeches will be on the scene at the social media.
Okay, continue for day with me inside the program. My name is Philip Bona, Director for Conflict Prevention, Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. The program na Good Morning Salon, they come to you from 98.1 FM. We'll go for a short break. We'll continue the program Good Morning Salon. The program is today listening to now Good Morning Salon, where they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy, 98.1 FM. If you just join we inside the edition of the program, we'll talk to different institutions them where they forget strength to peace and national cohesion and also human rights. Well, for sake of that, we get at the studio Victor Idrissa Lansana, Vice Chairperson, Human Rights Commission Salon, and also Philip Bona, Director for Conflict Prevention, Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. But I come to you, Victor Idrissa Lansana. Before we go to the other studio guests, we will talk about the rights of people for protest and the right for make police give them the right for make them go protest. You will make reference to section 26(1) of the 1991 Constitution, we give that freedom day. But when you talk about section 26(1), also somebody will draw your attention to section 26(2) of the same Constitution, where they curtail some of them right here for public safety, public morality, and public good. Looking at what happened on August 10, like we just get from the ECOWAS chairperson, and also we don't get the president's speech, talk about policeman die, civilian die, government and private property then destroy. Looking at all the scenarios there, so you think say saloon democracy don't reach that state of protest?
It's a very tricky question. It therefore do with the mindset and also the maturity and professionalism. Okay, mindset from the people, from citizens generally, and professionalism from the law enforcement agencies angle. So now both. So now a combination of both. So I believe we are 20 years away from the war. Okay, people still refer to democracy as a fledgling democracy. America is 300 years old in democracy. We are just 20 years old since the end of the war. So the issue about whether it is ripe for people going to engage in protest I need to say this again. So there is nothing like protest in the laws, okay, in a peaceful assembly and association. So there is nothing like protest. So the issue about whether it is ripe, it will always be ripe. If we continue forgive excuses, we'll never get to that point there. So we'll come back 50 years after the end of the war. We'll we'll not think society don't ripe enough, for would they give out acceptance or would they give out acknowledgement to people that we want for actually go out and demonstrate. So it's very important for you to understand that it has to do with professionalism and also the mindset of the people. And people need to understand, you cannot solve the problem with violence. Now, it's not possible at all.
Now, you to talk about professionalism, also fingers on the points to the police, them say they can handle situations with heavy-handed, we can trigger some violence. But you look at videos of August 10 again, people been there out not only for protest, they see them, they go take other people and bike, attack, and you see press release from emergency hospital where they provide service, then attack them with carbon and stab some and attack private and government property. Then looking at both sides, whether the police or the demonstrators, Nemeka ask you, say, Human Rights Commission, una don't they call for peaceful protest, una don't they call for the right for assemble, una think say saloon democracy don't reach that stage?
Yeah, so you still put the question. So I'm still saying it is always ripe. It is always ripe because people always get interest. People always get issues them for talk about. So hold on. So it has to do with the mindset of the people. It has to do with the fact that people not for use, for instance, politics for make it override the interest, so that when they give them permission for go out there and demonstrate peacefully, it turns to something else. It becomes a political entity, something, or exercise. So people need to understand, generally, Sierra Leoneans, the citizens need to understand, say, whilst you have a right, for demonstrate, for assemble, you also get a duty, a very strong duty for make you behave yourself peacefully, for make you not be violent. So that is why the police today, for be genuine enough and be fair enough, for actually look at the situation and see whether such intention will lead to violence. So that is where the police will come in to say, no, we need to grant any permission, for go about the streets and do demonstration. So the police need to be professional enough. You don't have to always look at the first limb of the law and say, we are not going to grant you permission to assemble. You have to look at it from the human rights based approach. I mean, impose obligations. So what are the obligations then? We say from 9 to 3 o'clock. Okay, we say these are the people that are the leaders then of this demonstration. We don't identify them. Then we say, then we send for use. So if anything go amiss, we go all responsible. Those people will actually write, they give a permission and notification for make them undertake that demonstration day. Now then the law for come against, But if we continue for say it's not that ripe, democracy not so strong enough, then there will be pent up anger. Anger will go actually they boil up over time, and then there will be an outburst. And that outburst they don't want to see as the commission. We want to see for ensure say the democracy would enjoy, people are able for actually be responsible enough, able for own up to their responsibility, and the police on the other hand need for ensure say they come together and approach the entire issue about the freedom of association and assembly with the human rights based approach. Provide security for people that want for actually go out and demonstrate. That is why in fact we have always argued and even called on government for make government procure, for make government buy riot gears them, gears them in the way actually the police they need for make them able to provide security to demonstrators them. That is very important, so that it will even lessen the risk of the police. And by the way, people need to understand, police officers are not people coming from heaven. They don't just get over money and they will see them all over the place. No, they are parents, they are citizens generally, they are siblings, they are children. So we need for ensure say their human rights also protected. They are humans, and therefore their rights should be protected. If you get opportunity for go out there and you want for actually vent out your frustration, in a peaceful means, then you don't get any need or you don't get any right for be violent and for take the life of the police officer. We merely go out there for fun in daily living. So it's very important for let people understand say they have an obligation, in as much as yes, the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, they continue to advocate for their rights then, but also they always tell and say their rights then go with obligations, with duties then, and those duties are clearly constitutional duties them where they inside section 13 of the constitution. So people need to understand that and always ensure say they are disciplined. Lawlessness, no they care anybody go anywhere. So I mean, you went there on that just up on this. You went to the streets, you took to the streets on the 10th of August. Some people they say, oh, now for the rise or the increase in goods and services, blah blah blah, and the price of services. I mean, on August 11 to August 15 today or 16th, we don't get a reduction in those prices. How has the violence actually changed the situation? No, all in a little the death of police officers and other ordinary citizens then. So have you actually solved the problem? No, you also escalate the problem. That is where we come in as a commission to say we are very very wrong. Those who incited, those who went on the streets, they were very wrong to be violent. They were very wrong for doing what they didn't do. It didn't solve any problem.
So apart from then kind radio discussions here now for authority, them waiting need for be done at this time from the human rights perspective as to preventing then kind of for come up again. Waiting need for be done.
Yes, so engagement. I mean, one-to-one engagement is very important, and that is what we have been doing. So when you do whether a thematic reports or
rather than for engage.
Yeah, all parties. So we engage, for instance, the police to make them understand say they have an obligation. I mean, these are the laws able for ensure. And by the way, the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, it gets the authority for advise government, on legislation them, or on draft legislation or existing legislation. We get for those human rights generally. So it's our own obligation for do further engagement, continuous engagement, and also ensure say the report the way we can put out. We are able to follow them through to the letter, so that recommendations are really adhered to, are respected. So for us, is continuous engagement, and also politicians they need to understand say should not be a do or die thing. Like my brother say, in this country we are not so much divided. It's only when we come to electoral circle, when elections they can run the corner. Now the division can come because politicians then they use they use that kind of ability of the population for begin sides, regional hatred or tribal hatred or bigotry as the case may be. So we believe, say, generally, away from politics, Sierra Leoneans them are very united. People they marry, Mende man they marry Timini man, Timini man they marry to Mende man. So it's as simple as that. people, I mean, we get Timine within a many line, many people in within a Timine line. So we are continuing to cohabit as peaceful citizens until, we get elections they come. So the citizens, I mean, the politicians them, we are the actual controllers or influencers them of opinions. They need to be very much measured when they take the mic for talk. Wherever they, whether in a small community, they address the need to be mindful of what the communal element, because what is the communal element, it actually gets so much influence on gullible Sierra on gullible and population. So we believe, say, going forward, I mean, politicians have to be measured in their statement that they make. Politicians have to understand that it's not a do or die thing. This is not a democracy. Sierra Leone, for instance, we have said, no more we go back to war. 20 years on, we have been rated so much, I mean, in terms of peace. We, like you say, we are, I mean, what I say, I mean, we are, I mean, one of the most peaceful countries, in the world. So we need to ensure that we jealously protect their kind of accolades and they. I mean, we don't need to get a reversal of this nature. We need to ensure that we focus. Everybody I mean, a battle of ideas. Right. If you want for, I mean, get people for support you bid or you candidacy, or as the case may be candidature, you need to ensure say you get ideas them, go before convince people them for maybe they come and support you. As a matter of fact, Sierra Leone is going into elections. I mean, the president declared the date, I mean, backed up by declaration from ECSL, see August, I mean, the next year, June 24, now election period. Okay, now we go to the polls. So why not come together if you're a political party? I mean, try for galvanize, try for ensure say you convince you people them so that we will vote for you instead of, I mean, using some passive means then for the, I mean, people to support you. So it's very important that you have to be measured, and citizens then need to understand the violence and solve any problem. It in fact escalates them. It puts you as an individual, in a risk position. And I don't know if they want to actually incite, they won't hear you. I mean, we say no, I never send you for do this, for do that. So it needs to be done, to be said that citizens need to be very responsible, because at the end of the day, it's you when they arrest you. Now you as an individual and your parents or your family go actually suffer the brunt. Nobody will go out there and begin suffer for you or whatever. They will visit you on Twitter. After 2 or 3 visits or 1 week visits, that is the end. Right. But you go in a Panamba, you go in a prison, you go in a police cell, they suffer with your family. And if you're not possible get picking them, them will suffer seriously. So people need to understand, say, they get their own obligation individually to protect themselves, for love themselves, and for understand, say, if they not protect their own welfare, nobody else will protect them for them. They need to ensure, say, they are always law abiding and disciplined.
Continue for the meeting at the studio, Victor Lansana, Vice Chairperson for Human Rights Commission.
The program is still listening to a Good Morning Salon, where they come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. Inside the program, we come to we other studio guests. We have Philip Bona, Director for Conflict Prevention, Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. Earlier, we don't talk about the work we not only do, and also in situations like this within the position of the institution. But you come up from the conflict prevention angle, now the institution. What are some of the activities them where the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion don't they engage for ensure we not prevent conflict as that now?
Well, I think say like I've been they tell you, we they engage stakeholders them, we they engage institutions them. In this particular case, like then youth man them, we they work, in collaboration with the Youth Commission and the ministry, and see how we can able for, promote some activities them, for their youth them. Precisely speaking, like the bike riders union, we now the bike riders them, most of them are youth them, we they engage them in leadership, we don't invite them a couple of times, and we they continue to engage them, or the keke riders or the motor drivers union. Even yesterday, we've been on a meeting, and we go for do a countrywide, nationwide campaign with them. We will go for going to all the districts them and big towns them, for reach out to the young man them, through then the leadership them, then leaders them, for preach peace. We come with peace messages to them, for let them know the importance of why a peaceful nation, a peaceful country, not only when a peaceful development can take place. Then, of course, we also they engage religious groups. Them, we liaise with them. We they talk to tribal heads, traditional leaders. Women's organizations. Them. So all them one and they try for as a commission. Me say we get for the. We normally say we get for the foot to foot, on a street to go from house to house, but we dey try for find strategies, develop strategies together with the institutions them and then groups them as to how we go able to prevent the kind of conflict we've been there in the 1990s.
Now, as Yusuf mentioned, the conflicts then and the now for resources. Even now, now for resources. You know, they engage with the end receivers, where the people them can tell you say we're not happy because of ABCD thing tranga for we. Whose engagement should they do with the policy makers them for make life little bit easier for the people them as soon as they engage them, because they can tell you say thing tranga make the protest, thing tranga they make one protest, or they ask police for let them give clearance for make come out and protest. What thing they engage and what thing are the message when I can put to the policy makers there for make life little bit better for the people?
The policy makers actually, like how the gentleman may rightly say, you get certain rules then where you get for definitely go strictly according to. What we do right now is that we try for do some stakeholder mapping, we try for do some needs assessment. Not only when we know the needs of the youths, then the needy, then we'll be able for also advise the policymakers as to waiting them for do. So in this particular case, we work closely with these institutions them, where we feel say for now they're necessary or important for give assistance to the people that where they in need. But as a commission, we just don't start just a year. We don't just develop a strategic document where we get for implement for the next 3 years. We not really reach that stage now. Say I know we can tell you now. Say now we don't get. Then can be big advice now for the policy makers them, because we still peace building and conflict prevention now a process. It takes a long process where they go on. But depending on the needs and depending on waiting really how the situation there, we can able advise. Like for example, we they think strongly say then youths way beyond they go on the rampage, especially in Africa and some other parts of the country. We don't find out say now because they really not get perspective. So one area where we think say perhaps Papa government or the policy makers and can come in is like in the area of agriculture. And even there are programs. Let them see how them go expand them programs them, try forget some of them youths who are interested in agriculture and bring them in other areas, and so that at least them will get something for do. This also applies to schools them. We've discovered say peace education, it would be one of the areas they will advise government, like if them able for include them one and then at the syllabus there as time they go on. But all them one then a 2-3 year process or even be longer. We just do it today, it gets effect today. We see even the government with them, the education programs, the way they get the free quality education program, it takes time. So all we say we do now, we not go cancel now, we get a package of advice or we give policymakers now for solve all the problems. That's not the case.
That brings me to the next question. A lot has been said on issues we get for do with peace and how for maintain the peace. And run an independent commission for peace and national cohesion. The thing we get for do with national cohesion. From what happened on the 10th of August last week, Wednesday, waiting for do when immediate thing where institutions that were put in place now forget a national cohesion Meaning, I mean, people not for the see themselves from color lens, but no say this na salon and you say for them na your side, myself say for them na my own side, but national cohesion with all and with two, and waiting it for be done.
I think waiting need for be done. We really low face the fact now we get forget dialogue, among all stakeholders. We get forget a national dialogue. This waiting don't happen, so don't show we see there is a divide now with society. Definitely, you see the line there. You and I, we know that. So we try for see how we go able to bring all them various differences and then factions then together through dialogue. And how that they go happen, now something where the Peace Commission and other institutions, the way they work as peace builders, because we are not the only one. There were, in fact, a lot of them been on the long before we come. For come together and see how we can able set up such think tank and work on such a dialogue where probably can be a kind of reconciliation, because you find out say, a lot of people probably in the country they're not satisfied about one reason or the other. So we therefore find out for us which are the reason why get into the root cause of the one ending. So this is now one way where I feel say we go able for definitely drive towards this
So
national
this national
cohesion.
dialogue, now the commission, the champion.
Well, no, we not work in isolation. We do really work in collaboration with all institutions, also with the government. Now we will just recommend and advise, but it not mean say that we will get for champion. We definitely not work in isolation. All hands on deck. We get for work with the various institutions. We definitely required now for the kind action. But definitely a national dialogue, reconciliation with the CIA is very important, because with the CCA, polarization on the society so much, not only the youth, even among the adults, the political parties. We therefore engage them, we therefore talk to them. Let them try for understand, say, politics is not all. We also get another part of life very important now. But it's only when the politicians they really understand, say, not to a do or die thing. If you win, fine. If you not win, you have to accept it. So on that basis, they need some kind of awareness. So for that, you go get for work with the PPRC. We go for collaborate with them. If you want to approach the political parties, mean so they go meet them directly. Then also, I think say also key now for understand, say, you also get key political stakeholders, where we definitely need to talk to. And
other than so.
I mean, the leaders of the various political parties, political parties then usually can get leadership. And sometimes they command, not them following them. So they're able for, then are very good multiplicators for such cohesion.
The issue of trust in all of these counts, if you want to engage the political parties, then because from all waiting don't happen so far, the statements that we don't come out from government, they point at the main opposition party saying are then responsible for waiting don't they happen so far. You think say that trust day for let them able to come to a round table, sit down and discuss and get a possible solution to all of this?
I mean, as it is now, very difficult to be honest with you. But on the other hand, I feel say we'll get peace without justice. Like waiting to happen, then for also allow government for really investigator. Not only so when we don't get into the root cause of the entire waiting really happen, then ones we really not the ones that will cause most of them problem them. If we're able for allow government, let justice really take in course,
right,
then you will able to talk about peace. And by so doing, once that don't happen, I want to believe, say, people then go always ready for turnover to a new page. If you look at the Civil War in the 90s, it was so brutal, it been so rough, right, but as time they unfold, at the end of the war, people then, they reconcile. Then one day with them is supposed for judge them, and the nation moved on.
Continue
20 years down the road, we actually be enjoy that peace.
They go back to the Vice Chairperson for Human Rights Commissioner Salon Way, now Victor Lansana, as we don't discuss but waiting need for be done now for ensure say we maintain the country peace, especially state institutions them we suppose for do certain things them we go make people and feel safe at this point. Waiting you they say to Salon people are part of the state institutions them way for maintain people and peace and security. Waiting you get for say to Salon people as a own role for ensure say everybody protect the peace where the country gets.
Yes, you know, when all is said and done, accountability is very key. Okay, after everything, whether the law enforcement officers then we be involved or the ordinary citizens them, they must be held accountable. Okay, so for every protest or demonstration, the key aspect of it is accountability, and that is why in fact the law is say notify also that we know you, we can identify you. And so to Sierra Leoneans then, you know, we have the commission, Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, we have said this time and again, for the opt-in time, I would say people have to read section 13 of our constitution. Section 13 of our constitution is very clear. It provides for the duties of a citizen. And those duties, if we really abide by them, we're not going to get any kind of confusion there. You know, we're not going to get any kind of catastrophe that we cause on August 10th. Now, if you look at that particular section of the constitution, you see, we get forget the loyalty to Sierra Leone as a country. If for supersede any other loyalty, you even go further for talk say, if for supersede loyalty to your religion, to your ethnicity, to your political party, as the case may be. So we all understand say we have one country which is Sierra Leone, and we want to make this country develop. At least, if not for us now, because one generation, I think we are very unlucky. We are done and dusted. But at least for picking and grand picking them, we can usher them into a very peaceful society, very developed society. So for society to develop, it's not just with government, it's government and also the people. So people have to be responsible enough as and how they engage with government authorities, and as and how they actually try for demonstrate or talk about, say out the interest, advocate for the interest and so on and so forth. Then also to government, government gets obligation under section 5, subsection 1, paragraph B of the constitution, for me they ensure they say the welfare and security of the people of Sierra Leone rest on the shoulders of government. That is very clear in the constitution, and therefore the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone is calling on government and its sectors them for ensure say they investigate, they arrest and prosecute within the laws all those persons that were responsible, whether they incited, whether they came to the streets, they for be actually held accountable. We legal system for be really predictable, so that when this happen, you know, say the consequence is this. You know, it's very clear. And also lastly, would say the police, they always have to be very much professional. They always have to ensure that they approach everything with human rights based approach. You know, ensuring that they sit down people, those who actually apply or those who notify them that they want to embark on a peaceful demonstration, they have to allow them, call them to the table, arrange the routes, arrange the timing, and look at the issues. Then look at why they want to do the demonstration, develop terms and conditions of that particular peaceful demonstration. That is the only way out. Democracy, it really don't come of age, I would say. Because, for instance, we have now got, the elections, you know, we don't transfer power from one political party to the other since after the war. So that means we have actually done well in terms of democracy. So we believe, say, as a commission, people for be very accountable, law enforcement officers as well as Sierra Leoneans them, and we need for ensure say we provide security for everybody.
Thank you very much, Victor Idrissa Lansana, Vice Chairperson Human Rights Commission of Salon. I come to the other studio guest, Wena Philip Bona, Director for Conflict Prevention, Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. Earlier, inside your statement, you make mention, say, most of the people involved are young people, and you say you got to work with partners them for ensure, say, some of them things here then prevent them. Minister of Youth Affairs, Youth Commission, now body them with the work with young people. How una hope for continue a partnership with the institutions there also for engage with young people for prevent conflict, especially with Salon to go into an election.
I think we for really try for develop very good messages, in collaboration with them and for the with the commission, the youth commission, and also the ministry for their youth them. We for really be the one that we for really give their youth them feeling of being taken serious, because this is some of them placard the way you will see during this recent demonstration, even though it's so controversial, but even this is some they say them voices are not heard. So we want for also make sure the commission, the youth commission, then youth groups within the support, you understand them. We go on for ensure we able for work support the commission them, the youth commission and the ministry, for let them able for really able give the kind of assistance with the youth they need. It not will be something where you will say there is a package where you will develop now for them. But I feel one area where really will go on for engage, talk to them now, skills training, opportunities. Let them advise government, let them really try for share that with Papa government that skills training are one area that we the youth them, both boys and girls. We go really want for make sure let them get more opportunities. Another area again where if it would be very very important now, education. I still they come to that one day, because most of them picking them, they not even know what be happening in the 1990s. So that history they finally just laid on at the archives. It will find for let really continue for the educate them now, make let it really be part of the school curriculum, at the various school as so they go on both primary, secondary, and even up to university level. I think that is very very important, that education and awareness raising.
Many thanks for joining the program this morning. That's Filibona, a combatant independent commission for peace and national cohesion, and the director for conflict prevention. We'll be also getting the studio Victor Lansana, vice chairperson, Human Rights Commission Sierra Leone. We will talk about waiting state institutions them supposed for the do now for ensure they maintain the country peace. Now this edition of the program, good morning Salon Ulefuna. Plenty thank you to the production team. Michael Sambola and Alex Lawrence Kuruma produced the program. DJ Lava give technical support. Usman Kamara and team Ekona Siri live now Facebook. Until then, it's raining out there, and I hope say you will keep yourself warm and keep safe, especially Kumbra them where you picking in the go summer school, and sure say you then safe until then gets back. Get yourself a wonderful day. Mabel Kaba say goodbye.
What a good advice from Mabel Kaba. I think you're very good in these things anyway. Anyway, since then, Musa Kamara, they say, have a wonderful day. As you get from my colleague, it rained heavily since yesterday night. Please make sure you protect yourself from flooding, and also ensure, say, Musa, you see danger, call the necessary authorities them for support. So tell them, Musa Kamara, they say goodbye.